Hello, welcome to Live with Chatty Cathy this Wednesday morning. I want to talk to you about needles. I know that there are lots and lots and lots of different types of needles on the market, and it can get extremely confusing. Now, one of the industry leaders that you see out there that put out needles is Schmetz. And they put out these little guides, and they're very, very, very helpful. They have this ABC pocket guide. I think we might still have some of these around. I'll have to find them. And if you really want one, you can come by and get one. I sort of wanted to explain how the markings on these needles work. Now, Schmetz says that all their needles will fit every home sewing machine out there. That's not quite true. Some of the older Singer models, they will not work in. So if you have an older Singer that you've inherited or you bought at a garage sale, or that might even be yours, just make sure that you're using the proper needle in it. Do a little research and find out. But I'm going to explain to you some of the markings on the front. Let me get a package of needles here. Here's what they are. On the front of the needles, they have what they call a needle system, and it has a number there, and the ones for the home sewing machines has 130-705 on it. All that is telling you that that is for the home site board here, and I am not a artist by any means. Okay, here's a package of needles, and right here in the middle, marking in the middle, and needles for a serger, it will have X, and I think it's, let me see if I can put my hands on it real. This right here, okay? Now, down along the bottom, we'll have the numbers, and what that means is that's the size of the needle. The higher the number, the heavier duty the needle is. That's how I look at it. Size 14s, 16s, those are for denim, going through lots of layers. There are needles out there that are for leather. Now, the one thing about the Schmetz needles that they've come out with, and I don't know if they've always been this way or not, but they have a color code on their needle, and the colors are for various things. So if you are strictly a quilter, the color band that will be on the needle, let's see if this one, I know this is an older needle that I pulled out of my sewing box, and so I don't think they were doing it on these. Oh, no, they are. See the green? There's a little green mark, and I don't know if you can even see that. I'll hold it up there. That's the color code, and that's for quilting. It stands for quilting. Now, all the home machines also have a flat, let's talk about the makeup of, I'll have to draw a picture, but the back of the home sewing machine needles are flat. And so when you put that in your machine, that needs to go against the back. So it's a little hard to get them in your machine wrong. And this is the shaft of the needle. There is a little groove back here, and that's called a slit, and pull it up. So that's the purpose. All the other needles out there, if you are a garment sewer, needles for garment sewing. For example, there are stretch needles if you are going to be using, like lycra or any kind of stretchy materials. You're going to be sewing on elastic, so it has some give. There's needles for jersey. There's specific jean needles. There's leather needles. There's embroidery needles. There's metallic needles and top stitch needles. So you can see there's a whole mirage of needles. But if you are a quilter, I usually use a number 12, which is good for cotton. Sometimes you can use 10 with no problem. You start getting down into those lower numbers. Once again, you're getting back into the garment sewing. When you're using a number 8 or a number 10, it's for real fine sewing and fine thread. We'll talk about thread at another date because that's a whole nother topic of conversation. But let me see if I can draw a picture here. Let's see if I can do this upside down. This is funny because I am not an artist. That's pretty funny. Okay. All right, now that color that I was talking about is up here with the different colors. It shows you what type of needle, and it should say on the pack. You've got the eye, and there's different types of needles with different types of eyes. There's a double-eyed needle. This is considered the blade here, and that groove, that shaft that I was talking about, I'm sorry, not the groove, but that little indentation, that's in the back here. Then there's a groove here. You can barely see threading it. Will come down and follow that needle. And then this is called the butt, and then this section right in here is called the shank. And this part is the flat part. I should have made this one a little bit bigger. And the back of that is flat, so that it goes in your sewing machine. Now, there's a couple other companies out there that make needles. Schmetz, Gross Becker's, and Oregon. Both of them put out really good quality needles. Gross Beckerd, I know they put out needles for my long arm. And I think the Oregon, I think I've got Oregon needles at home for my big commercial embroidery machine. So there's oodles and oodles, and they're all, I would say they're all good quality needles to use. Now I know that, let me see if I can find it here. Superior Thread has needles with their name on them, but I'm almost sure, I think I saw something that Oregon, if I can get it, I'm gonna have to stand up here. Oregon needles make their needles. It doesn't say on this package, but I'm almost positive that Oregon makes their needles for them and puts their name on them. But they're a really good company as well. Now this one is, you'll find there'll be a lot of needles out there that have titanium or are coated and they last a little longer. I don't know how much longer because I've really not kind of tested it. I get the so-so in frequently. But let's go back a little bit. I had mentioned a couple times ago that you need to change your needles. Don't stick a needle in your machine. You're making that machine work way too hard. You have a big problem about how many hours you have invested in. I know that's hard if you sew kind of sporadically, but when in doubt, change the needle because your machine is worth more than, you know, a package of needles. So that's my advice for that. So hopefully I've made some things clearer on the needles. One other thing that I wanted to mention down at the bottom when they give you the numbers, and I was talking about sizes, you know, 8, 10, 11, 12, 14, 16. There's also another number that usually coordinates with that, like the number 12, it'll say 80/20. Those bigger numbers in the front, I believe that has to do with the metric system and the European market. So the ones that I'm more familiar with are the 8, 10, 11, 12s, 14s, and 16s. So if you're just doing quilting, number 12s will work well for you. You know, just find a needle that you like and kind of stick with it, and you'll be good to go. So hopefully, if you have any questions, feel free to call or send me an email. I'll be happy to answer anything if I can. The email is info@theenchantedquilt.com. And until next time, have a great week.